Living in hope. How do we do it? There's so many temptations to false hope, promises that don't deliver. When I was a kid and misfortune would befall me and I would be brooding and complaining, my mother would respond with a platitude. Someday your ship is going to come in. I'd say, well, what does that mean, that someday my ship is going to come in? Well, someday at the port, the ship will show up that will have your name on it, and in that ship will be all of the toys and all of the joys and everything that could make a little boy happy. So I said, Mom, well, did your ship come in? And she says, oh, no. Well, not yet. Well, I'll tell you, her ship never came in, and neither did mine. So I'm not going to trust a platitude such as someday your ship is going to come in. One of the things we experience constantly are false hope raised by those who make promises. And if you're the kind of person that Jesus talks about in the Beatitudes that hungers and thirsts for justice, or you hunger and thirst for world peace, and then you hear someone running for political office and they're going to make a promise that if we elect that party, that just around the corner we're going to have full employment, we're going to have world peace, we're going to have a form of justice in which the wealthy people get lower taxes. Or if you think of justice differently, we're going to think of equal pay for equal work, or we're going to think of health care for 45 million people who are not yet covered. If we could only get just around the next corner, there will be justice, there will be peace. And how many times have we heard just since the Second World War that just one more war, one more war will bring the kind of peace and stability that all of us on planet Earth yearn for? And you know what? It doesn't happen. How are we going to live in hope? Well, those of us who are Christians place our hope not in the promises of politicians and not in the promises of those who are advertising. We place our hope in God's promise, a promise that was delivered on Easter Sunday with the resurrection of Jesus Christ, a promise that says, if you hunger and thirst for justice, you're going to get it because the kingdom of God is going to bring it. And if you hunger and thirst for peace, the kingdom of God is going to bring it. Oh yes, be thankful for those moments, for those interregnums where we have temporary justice or peace, but ground your hope in a God who can promise an eternal justice and an eternal peace. And Jesus describes the kind of person who lives in hope in his Beatitudes. It's an attitude toward the future. It's a confidence in a future even when we're hungering and thirsting for justice and peace, and it's not yet quenched, and we can live with peace. It's called the life of Beatitude, and that's living in hope. Don't ground your hope in someone's platitude, because our human potential is misconstrued. God's promise grounds our hope, so put on your radarscope gratitude for the attitude of Beatitude.